The British referendum was just the latest wake-up call for the EU, and many rightly respond by calling for more reform. The problem is, it's not the reform that Mark Rutte speaks of when he said European where necessary, national where possible. Instead, they seek to pursue the 1950s European project, to build the United States of Europe, and to ask why it has not happened already. Donald Tusk was right to say that people are disillusioned with grand utopian visions of the future and just want us to cope better with the present. Now, in this chamber, we rightly talk about the lessons of history. But what about the lessons that warn of the peril when leaders become disconnected from their people? And increasingly, decisions in the EU are not necessarily being made in an open and transparent way, especially in this chamber. Decisions are not always made by all 751 MEPs from across the continent. Politics is about perception. And there is a perception that decisions are increasingly made by 5 men sitting in a room and cutting deals amongst themselves. This is not a perception of democracy, and if you really want to show that you're open and transparent, stop the Grand Coalition backroom stitch-ups. My group does not want the EU to break up, but to avoid this, the EU must seriously change how it works. Whatever the challenge, more Europe is not always the answer. Ignoring the results of national elections and referenda and saying we continue anyway is not a good enough response. With or without the UK, there are a growing number of people across the European Union who want change. So my plea to all of you is listen to those who want the EU to meet the challenges of the future. Listen to those who want politicians to start addressing their legitimate concerns, even where we may disagree. And listen to those who want their leaders to focus on creating jobs and growth, rather than creating political utopias.
Now for the Liberal Group, Chairman Verhofstadt.
Well, I have it always a little bit difficult that you give lessons to us. You are leaving the Union and you are explaining here what to do in the future. It's incredible, incredible. And should it be not better that you know what to do in Britain? Because the Brexiteers, in my opinion, they have no any clue of what needs to be done for the moment. That should be better, to give lessons in London and not here, in Strasbourg. In fact, the Brexiteers, they remind me rats fleeing a sinking ship. Cameron resigned. Johnson abandoned. Yeah, and Farage wants more time for himself and his family to spend his European salary, apparently. So the Leave man remains, or disappeared for the moment. So I think that probably, dear colleagues, the last man standing in Britain will be a woman. That will happen. And it shall be like in the time of Margaret Thatcher, only a woman is capable to manage a divided Tory party, as we see it today.
Are you aware of how British parliamentary democracy works? What happens is that the leaders of the main parties and those of government were all EU fans. They were all on your side. The people voted the other way. It wasn't a change of government. So when you say the Brexit side has no plan, the Brexit side isn't the government. So the government has to change to allow someone to be Prime Minister who will actually carry through the will of the people. That's how our democracy works, sir. So when you say these assertions, you're missing the point exactly of what a referendum actually is.